Let's speak next to Mary Scanlon, a former Conservative MSP. Of course, Mary, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. Thank you.
How do you rate Nicola Sturgeon's time as First Minister?
Well, I mean, it's been such a long time, and I couldn't help thinking about that comment about the shy, introverted girl. In the first Parliament, Nicola and I both entered Parliament in '99, and she was indeed shy and introverted, and certainly wasn't wearing the stilettos that she wears these days. But so Scotland has changed, the Parliament has changed, and I think we've all changed. But what will I remember, Nicola? It will undoubtedly be her communications, the management of communications over COVID. And, you know, nobody could say we never saw enough of her or we didn't know what was happening. We certainly couldn't criticise her. She was highly professional. We all knew exactly what the guidance and regulations were. I did feel at times that she had to be different to England, and it would have been easier if the whole country had gone down the same regulations. And we certainly had our share of deaths and infections and care home deaths. But I will remember Nicola in the best light for the communications, for keeping in touch, keeping the country informed during the COVID period. When, let's be honest, Stephen, we were all a wee bit scared. We were all a bit uncertain. We didn't quite know what we should and shouldn't be doing, and we were looking for that leadership. And she did indeed step up to the challenge in terms of keeping in touch with her. But the thing that I think even Nicola would be disappointed about is that she did not make the progress on policy issues, and her record in government, I'm sorry to say, is just not good. The one thing about Nicola, she was extremely, extremely anti-privatisation. And yet now, people of my age are talking about using all their savings to go and get NHS treatment. They're being forced to go private, even although they don't want to. And I mean, things like the Scottish Parliament, as Brian Taylor would know, was a huge scandal during the early years of the Parliament. And now we've got one ferry that's just about to cost more than the Parliament ever did. I mean, things like mental health, children's education, education overall. I think Nicola would be disappointed that she didn't achieve what she wanted to do.
And yet,
to have the record of the highest drug deaths in the whole of Europe, I'm sorry, but that's just not good for Scotland, and that should have been tackled.
And yet, with her record, good or bad, she won 8 elections and achieved success that other parties can only dream about.
No, I think that's a very good point, actually. And when you come to the SNP, excuse me, as an electoral machine, and I would include Nicola's husband here, Peter, they were absolutely dominant. But the point was, Stephen, that they made promises, and that was the reason that people voted for them. Now, I live up here near Inverness, and we were promised in 2007 that the A9 would be dualled, and it was going to be dualled by 2025. There's not a mile of it being dualled since then. The A96 from Inverness to Aberdeen, I mean, it's 100 miles, but it takes you about 2.5 hours on a good day to get there. The education has not been good. But I think the thing that is most disappointing to me is Scottish politics. I think it was Brian Taylor that mentioned it. Our politics are far from being kind, courteous and respectful of each other. You've only got to look over the Irish Sea to Ireland. They've got their differences, but they can treat each other with respect. I mean, not so long ago, Nicola said she detested the Tories.
Well, did you see much respect from Douglas Ross yesterday in his comments in the chamber?
Well, Douglas is the leader of the opposition. He is there to hold the First Minister to account. Douglas worked for me for 10 years as my researcher up to 2016.
He didn't show much kindness to her yesterday, Mary, did he?
Well, he certainly did in, I thought, the comments after when Nicola gave her leaving speech. I thought Douglas's comments about a role model for younger women.
Yeah, let me ask you about that. As a female politician, our first female First Minister, what did that mean to you to see her in that job?
Oh, incredible, incredible. In fact, you know, I watched Emma Roddick as well. And when you look at a girl, as I said, shy and introverted, coming into the Parliament, rising up to be the First Minister, and as I said, highly professional, she did not achieve all she wanted to achieve. But maybe today's not the day to do that. Her successor will pick that up. But as a woman, I think we could be very proud of her in Scotland.
Mary,
and
thank
I think
you.
maybe if we could, going forward, if we could stop blaming Westminster and as a country start taking responsibility for what we're doing, I think would be so much better country.
Her successor will take over on Tuesday, and we'll have full coverage on all the events on BBC Radio Scotland on Monday as the successor is chosen, and on Tuesday as they're sworn in as First Minister as well. Mary Scanlon, former Conservative MSP, thank you for your time this morning. Let's go to Ayr. Tommy's there this morning. Morning, Tommy.
Hi, good morning.
What's your verdict?
Well, what I would say is that Nicola Sturgeon was a good politician, but I would say one of the problems was it was what I do, and that's it, there's no other way. And I think one of the reasons was that she was completely, her attitude was independence, nothing else was important. And I think she alienated a lot of the Scottish people because everybody's been through hard times and things and this and that. But she still went on and on and on about this. And then when the SNPs got into bed with the Greens, I mean, to a certain degree, that she never actually said what Scotland would do without being in the Union. All she wanted was the Union. And you could see from the point of view that what happened with the Brexit thing. The government down south saying, "Oh, we'd be great," and I could see the same thing happening with Scotland getting independence. It was as if she had to get to the finishing line, and that was all that was important. And then once we were independent, then they would sit down and think what they would do, and it would probably be similar to the ferries and the NHS and all this. But I think as a political leader, I think everybody in her party was scared of her. You know, really, she was a dominant force.
Oh, she was a strong leader, wasn't she?
Oh, she was. There's no doubt she was a strong leader. But I think, see, during the COVID time, I mean, she loved the power of coming on the television every day and laying down the law and such like.
How do we know she loved the power? Wasn't she leading wasn't that her job? I mean, you know, we had the chief medical officer in London doing the same job effectively down south, and the Prime Minister there. Wasn't that her job at that time, Tommy?
But I think to a certain degree, I mean, it's almost as if she relished it. I mean, down south came out of lockdown before us, and it's always been the same in Scotland. I mean, from the point of view with this latest thing with the recycling, I mean, they'll not do that down south. But Scotland always seems to be like when they did the poll tax.
Well, they are doing it down south. There's a bottle deposit return scheme coming down south. It's just slightly different from the one that we've got here. And presumably the medical advice that we were getting during the pandemic, that she was getting, was different, which is why the decisions were different.
But I mean, to a certain degree, I just think that she's alienated a lot of people who at one time would have wanted independence, but because...
sorry to interrupt, were you one of those people, Tommy? I mean, could you have been brought over to the cause of independence if things had been different?
Well, I'll be quite honest with you. At one time, it was a kind of romantic thought, right? But as years have went on, and with the things that have happened with the kind of European Union and various things, I mean, that to be quite honest, there is something going to come down the road to really bite the SNP in the bum, I would say, because I mean, all the police investigations, where this money has disappeared and all this. So I think to a certain degree, Nicola Sturgeon has went, because I'll be quite honest, I thought that she would have kept going until she got independence, because it was like a pair of blinkers, and that's all she was interested. And that's why you get people saying how they've lost faith there, because people with energy bills, people with this, the health and all this. But she was still going on, and then I don't know why she did this diversion into the transgender thing. I definitely think that has been some that split a party.
You think that was the final thing? Tommy, thanks for your time this morning.